Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, what's been coming up a lot in my field lately is kindness. It's been coming up in lots of different memes I've been seeing. It's been coming up in my reality. I've been seeing lots of people doing kind things and some unkind things, unfortunately. And so I thought we could chat a little bit about kindness and how really, I think by being kind, we can really change the world. So I don't know how many of you out there have a mission to change the world, but I certainly do. And when I think about what that means, I go back to the Gandhi quote, if you want to see change in the world, you have to be the change in the world. So what do we want to be? And I think the answers are obvious and very simple, but actually being them all the time isn't the easiest thing to do. So we can be love and we can be kind. You know, it's interesting. I go back to that Bible verse about what is love. Love is patient and love is kind. We've talked about patience recently. So it's time to talk about kindness. It's really such a beautiful way to show your love for humanity. Show your love for your other selves with absolutely zero intention of getting anything in return. Just doing nice things just to do them. And when we do that kind of stuff, it makes us feel good. It makes the other person feel good. And even other people who are watching it. As we're going to listen to a Wayne Dyer clip in a little while, he talks about this and how it actually produces serotonin. And when we either do one of those three things, do, receive, or watch it, it creates the neurotransmitter that helps us stay happy, that keeps us out of depression. And so by being kind, we can create a happier world. So think about just random acts of kindness and those little things that we can do every single day. And think about what that can do for those people receiving them. Maybe that person has lost their faith in humanity, and you just restored it by doing a simple thing, helping them carry their groceries, opening a door, letting them into traffic, saying a kind word to a stranger. I like your dress. or whatever it may be. A compliment from a stranger goes a long way. It can make someone's entire day. The Dalai Lama said, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." And it is always possible. It is always possible to do kind things for others every day. And think about this, you guys. There are tens and thousands of you listening right now, which blows my mind, by the way. But if only maybe like 10,000 of you decide that, I'm going to start living every single day doing a kind act, doing a kind deed. It could be something really little, or it could be something bigger, whatever you want to do. But making that commitment to doing that every day, imagine 10,000 of us doing that, and how much that will spread, how much people will say, wow, and pay that forward. And it can grow and grow. That ripple extends out so far and so wide. And you never really know the impact that you can make on someone. It can truly be life-changing. Mother Teresa said, "Kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless." Mother Teresa, a human being who exemplified kindness in her life. What a beautiful, beautiful soul. She recognized how much her kindness rippled out and changed humanity. And we can all do the same thing. The Dalai Lama says kindness is his religion. He says, "This is my simple religion. No need for temples, no need for complicated philosophy. Your own mind, your own heart is the temple. Your philosophy is simple kindness." So if we could all live simply kind every single day, imagine the effects it can have. You create all sorts of happy hormones. You increase your vibration. You extend it to others. You give others a glimmer of hope. Shine a light on their dark day. You can be that person who does that for yourself and for others. You can be the rainbow in somebody else's cloud. That's straight from Maya Angelou. I'm going to play you a really short clip. Take a listen.
There's an African-American song, 19th century, which is so great. It says, "When it looked like the sun wasn't gonna shine anymore, God put a rainbow in the clouds." Imagine. And I've had so many rainbows in my clouds. I had a lot of clouds, but I have had so many rainbows. And one of the things I do when I step up on a stage, when I stand up to translate, when I go to teach my classes, when I go to direct a movie, I bring everyone who has ever been kind to me with me. Black, white, Asian, Spanish-speaking, Native American, gay, straight, everybody. I say, come with me. I'm going on the stage. Come with me, I need you now. Long dead. You see? So I don't ever feel I have no help. I've had rainbows in my clouds. And the thing to do, it seems to me, is to prepare yourself so that you can be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud. Somebody who may not look like you, may not call God the same name you call God, if they call God at all. You see? And may not eat the same dishes prepared the way you do, may not dance your dances or speak your language, but be a blessing to somebody. That's what I think.
I just absolutely love her perspective. She said, I had a lot of clouds, but a lot of rainbows. And it's those rainbows that she brings with her It's the rainbows that she remembers. And being a blessing to somebody, how easy can that really be? Simple acts of kindness. Lao Tzu said, kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. And that reminds me about being kind to ourselves. Being kind with our thoughts towards ourselves. Starting to catch ourselves if we are being unkind and changing that rhetoric in our thoughts. Create loving, kind thoughts instead. And being kind to ourselves creates this confidence on so many different levels. And that's a beautiful thing. Kind to ourselves, kind to others. Let's listen to Wayne Dyer. This is a clip called Be Kind.
The second face of intention is one of my absolute favorites. I call it the face of kindness. It is my intention to be at peace with everyone in my life, including all of my relatives. That's my intention. I insist that I will be at that place in my life. And so how do you do that? You have to, again, look at the resistance, look at the thoughts, and suggest to yourself, I am going to be kindness. Yesterday, we went to a movie. I came home from the movie, and there was a man on the street in Boston who was homeless. And he was mentally challenged, obviously. And he had a little cup, and he asked for some change. And I went blessing to these people. And then I was walking, I kept thinking, you're giving a talk tomorrow about kindness. And I went back, and I had about $4 worth of change in my pocket, and I had to chase him. He went downstairs someplace, and he was dirty, and he was, and he couldn't speak right, and I took this change, and I just took his cup, and I put it, and you'd have thought that I had given this man, $1 million. I mean, he followed me. He couldn't stop thinking. Tears were coming down. It's a simple little act of kindness. And I'm not suggesting to every single one of you that everybody who asks you for money, you are obliged to give them money. But can you give them a silent blessing? Can you give them a smile instead of using them as a reason to be upset? And you have to, folks, you got to do this with all of your relatives as well, particularly your own children and your own parents. You got to look at them and see every time that I have a thought that is not one of kindness, what I am doing is I am leaving the source and taking on ego consciousness. Here's a fascinating piece of research. You know what serotonin is? Serotonin is like this neurotransmitter, this enzyme in the body, in the brain. And the more of it that you have, the better you feel. It's the well-being feeling. And this well-being feeling is something that antidepressants are designed to stimulate. So that when you take these names that have become common out there, we associate this with, they are designed to stimulate the production of serotonin. Serotonin is very difficult to measure. It's done through the metabolites in the urine, but they're getting better at measuring it. Here's a fascinating study that was just completed. That any person who is the recipient of an act of kindness has their serotonin levels increased just because they received an act of kindness. And their immune system is strengthened because they received this dose of kindness. That's the recipient. And secondly, any person who is the giver, the provider of an act of kindness, anything you ever do which is a providing an act of kindness, and that's, see, here's a universal source that can't be anything other than what it is. It can't be something foreign to itself. So it doesn't, it's always creating, are you? It is always creating what it creates, treating it with kindness. Here, this source can create worlds. It creates planets and systems, and whether you look through the microscope or whether you look through the telescope, it's impossible to say which has the grander view. It's impossible to say because they all lead to infinity. And this is a source that creates worlds. It creates you. It doesn't, why would it create? It can create anything. Why would it create stuff that it's not kindly toward, like avocados? No thanks. I don't want an avocado. Why would it do that? It doesn't have to. It can create anything, this source, from which all emanates. If you are the provider of an act of kindness towards anyone, but particularly towards the people that you're close to in your life, and particularly towards strangers with just a smile, or an act of kindness, or, you know, I can afford a quarter, I can afford $1, I'm going to go back. And just, you know, and not making a big deal about it, the serotonin levels in you are increased in the same, to the same degree that they are in the receiver. And so is your immune system strengthened. You want to strengthen your immune system? Be kind. But even more dramatic than that, I get excited about this. Because this is what blows me away about it, is that the observer of an act of kindness, the observer of an act of kindness has their serotonin levels and their immune system strengthened just because they're in the energy field of someone who is displaying kindness. When you see someone being kind to another person, it's like a dose of an antidepressant. It's like a serotonin rush. Very often in my talks, I'll ask, who is the person out there in the audience who had someone buy your ticket because you couldn't afford it? And you couldn't afford to come here, and they paid your way to get here. And they just wanted you to be here because they felt it was so important that you be there. And someone will always raise their hand, I'll bring them up, and I'll say, so what did they spend? And they'll say, $100. They gave me $100, and they couldn't even afford it themselves. And I'll reach in my pocket, and I'll hand her the $100. And I'll say, could I extend to you this kindness back so that you can repay that person? And everyone, you can see teeth that you couldn't see for the previous hour. Everybody is smiling and laughing and happy and excited. And it cost me $100. You know how much antidepressant you'd have to take? That's $10,000 worth of pills. And you got to call your doctor. Do I need the purple one? I want to get some clams. I don't know if I'm going to get... Every act of kindness. Let me share with you a story. It's a story that I included in The Power of Intention. It's a story that I want to share here with you today. It is one of the most beautiful, and it's a true story as well. It goes like this. I call it the Shia story. In Brooklyn, New York, this is titled, Where is God's Perfection? In Brooklyn, New York, CHUSH, C-H-U-S-H, CHUSH is a school that caters to learning disabled children. Some children remain in CHUSH for their entire school career, while others can be mainstreamed into conventional schools. At a CHUSH fundraising event, a dinner, the father of a CHUSH child delivered a speech that would never be forgotten by all who attended. After extolling the school and its dedicated staff, he cried out, "Where is the perfection in my son Shia? Everything God does is done with perfection, but my child cannot remember facts and figures as other children do. Where is God's perfection here?" The audience was shocked by the question and pained by the father's anguish and stilled by the piercing query. "I believe," the father answered, "that when God brings a child like Shia into the world, the perfection that he seeks is in the way people react to this child." He then told the following story about his son Shia. One afternoon, Shia and his father walked past a park where some boys Shia knew were playing baseball. Shia asked his father, "Do you think they'll let me play?" Shaya's father knew that his son was not at all athletic and that most boys wouldn't even want him on their team, but Shaya's father understood that if his son was chosen to play, it would give him a sense of belonging. And as you know, Maslow's highest level of consciousness is on that pyramid is a feeling of belonging. And Shaya never felt that way. Shaya's father approached one of the boys on the field and asked if Shaya could play. The boy looked around for some guidance from his teammates, and getting none, he took matters into his own hands, and he said, well, we're losing by 6 runs, and the game is in the 8th inning. I guess he can be on our team, and we'll try to put him up to bat in the 9th inning. Shaya's father was ecstatic as Shaya smiled broadly. Shaya was told to put on a glove and go out to play in center field. In the bottom of the 8th inning, Shaya's team scored a few runs, but they were still behind by 3. In the bottom of the 9th inning, Shaya's team scored again, and now with 2 outs and the bases loaded, Shaya was scheduled to be up with the potential winning run on base. Would the team actually let Shaya bat at this juncture of the game and give away their chance to win? Surprisingly, Shaya was given the bat. Everyone knew that it was all but impossible because Shaya didn't even know how to hold a bat, let alone hit with it. However, as Shaya stepped up to the plate, the pitcher moved in a few steps so he could lob the ball in softly so that Shaya would at least be able to make contact with the ball. The first pitch came in, Shaya swung clumsily and he missed. And then one of Shaya's teammates came up out of the dugout, and together he and Shaya held the bat and faced the opposing pitcher, waiting for the next pitch, the two of them. The pitcher again took in a few more steps toward Shaya so he could toss the ball even more softly. And as the pitch came in, Shaya and his teammate together swung the bat, and together they hit a slow ground ball to the pitcher. The pitcher picked up the soft grounder and could easily have thrown the ball to the first baseman. Shaya would have been out, and that would have ended the game. But instead, the pitcher took the ball and threw it on a high arc to right field, far beyond the reach of the first baseman. Everyone started yelling, "Shaya, Shaya, run to first, run to first." Never in his life had Shaya run to first. He scampered down the baseline, wide-eyed and startled. By the time he reached first base, the right fielder had the ball, and he could have thrown the ball to the second baseman, who would tag out Shaya, who was still running. But the right fielder understood what the pitcher's intentions were. So he threw the ball high and far over the third baseman's head. Everyone yelled, "Run to second, Shaya, run to second." Shaya ran toward second base as the runners ahead of him deliriously circled the bases toward home. As Shaya reached second base, the up to him turned him in the direction of third base and shouted, "Run to third, Shaya, run to third." As Shaya rounded third, the boys from both teams ran behind him screaming, "Shaya, Shaya, run home, run home." Shaya ran home, stepped on home plate, and all 18 boys lifted him on their shoulders and made him the hero as he had just hit a grand slam and won the game for his team. That day, said his father, now with soft tears rolling down his face, those 18 boys reached their level of God's perfection. Is that a beautiful story? It always touches me.
Before we continue on with today's episode, for those of you interested in getting more fantastic fungi in your life, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about a friend of mine's brand new company, The Great Mother. Recently, I have been drinking The Great Mother's superfood mushroom coffee alternative called Ritual, as well as regularly taking their awesome Ally microdoses, and I am truly loving both. As you probably know, these days, many of the world's highest achievers and performers swear by microdosing. The problem is it can still be difficult to get a hold of magic mushrooms. That's why when my friend reached out, who lives in an area and country where legalization is not a problem like it was in the past, and said he'd be willing to offer microdoses to my listeners, I wanted to pass the word along. Ally microdoses are 100% organic. And in addition to a small amount of the magic active ingredient, they also contain functional mushrooms like lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga, and other brain boosters like bacopa. Ally is essentially a full spectrum nootropic. And of course, the coffee alternative Ritual doesn't contain magic mushrooms, but it has an array of the best organic functional mushrooms in the world. And, with functional mushrooms, it's really important to get them from the highest integrity sources. And whereas some other highly popular mushroom coffee alternatives on the market only contain a few varieties of functional mushrooms in their actual ingredients, Ritual has 7. Not only does it contain more types, it also contains 3 to 4 times the amount that the big brands have in each serving. And it tastes amazing. I actually like to have it on its own, as well as mixing it into my coffee sometimes as well. However, since this is definitely a unique offering, there are a few steps. First, just reach out and request to follow the private page, thegreat.mother on Instagram. Once you've been accepted to follow, just message what you're interested in getting and someone will get back to you.
Pretty powerful story, huh? It's hard not to cry after hearing a story like that. I didn't even just listen to it. I listened to it way earlier, and just talking about it is reminding me of it and making a whole ton of serotonin in my body right now. So I hope you all feel the same way. We're all here making lots of happy hormones, extending this love and kindness out to the world. I just wanted to share that clip and that story with you all today and encourage us all to be kind to ourselves, to be kind to each other. And remember, do a little act of kindness every day, every single day, and see what happens in your world around you. Watch it change. That's it for me today, y'all. I'm going to leave you with a song. This is Trevor Hall, The Promised Land. Till next time, everyone. Love you all.
Sometimes I don't feel at home, like Exodus in my own soul, and I wanna return, and I wanna return. Coming in again, time to break bread. Got a couple heavy things weighing down on my head. Feeling like a child being lost in the crowd. Just can't understand how things are going down. Kinda confused in the way that we're living. We are always taking, we forgot about giving. Missing how we used to talk about soul. Clouds coming in, we better get back home. Don't wanna complicate, just wanna shake hands. Taste fruit and return to the promised land. Where we once left, kept our hearts clean. No more enemies, we were on the same team. Yeah. Sometimes I don't feel at home, like Exodus in my own soul, and I wanna return, and I wanna return. Sometimes I don't feel at home, like Exodus in my own soul, and I wanna return, and I wanna return. Can you love it unconditional, my friend? Spread it out from beginning to the end. Spread it out across all the 4 seasons. Forgive all your sins and you can love without reason. I've been thinking about it, what does it all mean? To have a simple heart, to keep both my hands clean. Wandering the village, I've been wandering the land. Following the song in hopes to overstand. My man, you need to reach out your hand to forgive both ways like the sweet sun rays. Plant a couple trees for the ones we'll never see. It's beyond you and me, beyond what we see. I'm waiting on the fable, waiting on the song. I'll be waiting on the angel, waiting for the bliss to come kiss both lids upon my eyes, waiting for the righteous to rise. Pray. Sometimes I don't feel at home, like an exodus in my own soul.